Once again, thank you so much for joining us for the Minnesota Colorectal Cancer Research Foundation 2024 Gala. Please welcome back to the stage your MCs, Tane Danger and Vanita Sakar.
Good evening, everyone. Did everybody enjoy their really yummy meals? That was fantastic. Yes, keep pouring that wine and enjoying this evening. Can really feel the energy in this room. Can you, Tane?
I am so excited. Yes, this is a really special evening. I am so excited to be here. Not only do we have an amazing, I think, record-setting crowd here in the room. Applause for the room. That's good. We have hundreds of people tuning in right now to our live stream, folks who are joining because they believe in this mission from all over the country. Do a big round of applause for all of our live stream viewers who are a part of this tonight. Come on, give that energy. Yeah, that's good.
Welcome to those of you on your couches, comfy at home. Maybe you dressed up and are at home as well. We welcome you. There's so much energy in this room, and now you're a part of it. We're so glad you're here.
And welcome so much to you. We are so happy to have you. Vanita, first time here with us at the MCCRF Gala. I am absolutely delighted and thrilled to be doing this with you tonight.
Well, Tane, thank you for letting me join you up here. I have a huge personal connection to the work that's done here and the people that are part of this. And I know many of you sitting at these tables do as well. When I think of being up here and being a part of this gala and raising money for research, I think of this really cool guy I got to know named Brian Savage. And so many of you in this room knew him, his coworkers, the people he worked with day in and day out, his family, and his friends, and friends scattered throughout here. Brian was this amazing dad, husband, friend, former hockey player, hockey coach, great coworker. And I just think of that funny, that sense of humor he had, and that diagnosis of colorectal cancer, and 6 months later, he passed away. And I know so many of you have stories like that. And that's why we are here. We want to end this, and we can. There's so much great research happening, and thank you for being here and contributing to making sure that no one has to go through a diagnosis like this and lose their lives, because the research is going to make an impact thanks to the dollars we raise here. Thank you for being here.
This is great. I do. So we're here tonight, and I know a lot of the people are here because our lives have been touched. Probably almost every single person in this room has been touched by knowing someone, having a loved one, a friend, maybe themselves, who have been affected by colorectal cancer. And as Vanita just said, we're here because we believe that we can turn the tide on this, that there are treatments and there are therapies and there is a cure someday that we are going to find. And it's easy to kind of talk about hope and sort of dreams, and yet, as we alluded to, tonight we're going to get to hear about real work and research and promising things that are being done because of dollars that have been raised by this event in years past. And so we're going to get to hear about that and what that means. And then there's going to be the challenge to us tonight. Can we keep that momentum going? Can we do more for next year and the year after that?
We totally can. We totally can. It's not just about tonight. It is about every moment leading up to this and every moment that will follow. The gala theme for tonight, A Moment in Time, is a powerful reminder of the difference each one of us can make, each of us, when we're fueled by hope and generosity.
That is absolutely true. Think about it. Every single ticket, every single person who is in this room who purchased a ticket and brought a friend who bought a table, every bid that you make tonight, every story that we hear, every interview with an amazing person who's doing good work, that is helping contribute to the future that we want to see, the future where there are new treatments and there are ways to prolong someone's time that we have with them, that we are moving towards a cure. that we together are going to make it that we can be with each other and our loved ones longer and longer every year. That is why we are here tonight.
There's no time to spare. I know. We've got to get going with this. There was that startling statistic. Did you guys hear this a few weeks ago? And we talked about it on the WCCO Morning News. I got to interview one of the U of M researchers about it. This startling statistic. Colorectal cancer is now the leading cause of cancer death for men under the age of 50. That was really, it's just shocking and startling, and it shouldn't be happening. You think about the moment to invest in research and invest in our loved ones is right now.
So just actually a couple weeks ago, we both got to go to Sabri's, the research lab. This is a photo of us at the University of Minnesota going around.
I'm the short one.
And to see the colorectal cancer research that's happening, again, work that's literally has been funded by MCCRF in the past. We learned about some of the novel methods, and we're going to hear more about some of those later tonight that are being explored in immune system fight against cancer cells. And it's actually, we'll talk more about this in a bit, but there's a lot of stuff that I didn't know about the ways that our bodies work and the ways that it interacts with this cancer. And the fact that there are these folks who are thinking about this and figuring different ways to help our bodies, like fight this, suppress it, go at it in a different way. It is truly like inspiring and gives you hope. And for me, it makes you desperately want to help them do more of that. And so that is what we are going to be working on tonight.
I tell you what, when you talk to the researchers, they tell you this weird funding formula. You got to balance grants and everything. That's why what we raise here is so important. What it does is it allows them to explore their concepts, to validate their findings, if you're familiar with research, and then improve their chances of securing substantial national and governmental grants. So this really helps. The more we can raise, the more they get those other grants that combined can make a huge, huge difference. Think of it as providing the crucial initial investment that helps those ideas grow.
Yeah, and again, this is something that's so important. Like, the researchers will share this with you, that a lot of this work doesn't get very far without the kinds of dollars that MCCRF gives. And a very cool part of what we're doing here tonight, those dollars that we're raising stay very close to home. All of the research pretty much that we're going to hear about tonight are things that are happening right here in Minnesota, at the University of Minnesota, at Mayo Clinic, at places just within our state. And so there's something, again, very inspiring and energizing about believing that we could be part of finding these new treatments and cures right here in Minnesota. So, all right. So, speaking of, we're going to take a moment right now to actually acknowledge one of the leading sponsors, our biggest supporter for this evening, Midwest Radiology. I know there's a bunch of folks here from Midwest Radiology.
Thank you.
They've been our Gala presenting sponsor actually since the very beginning of this event, and they've helped MCCRF lead the way in funding research. The president and CEO, Dr. Susan Truman, would like to share just a few words with you about why specifically this research is so valuable.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Tane. Midwest Radiology is proud to continue our steadfast commitment to the Minnesota Colorectal Cancer Research Foundation. We've been a sponsor of this event every year since its inception. At Midwest Radiology, we're deeply aware of the impact of colon and rectal cancers. The rise in early onset diagnoses is truly alarming. And most people diagnosed with early onset colorectal cancer have advanced stage disease at diagnosis. Our sponsorship is truly an effort to change this narrative by backing research that seeks new treatments for these aggressive cancers. Being able to meet the researchers and directly contribute to their groundbreaking work is an opportunity we celebrate. Lastly, our support extends beyond professional realms. Dr. Sandy Muschenheim, the founder of MCCRF, is a valued member of our Midwest Radiology family, and we couldn't be prouder of her. We're grateful for your presence tonight and for joining us in the journey toward finding more effective treatments for colorectal cancer and ultimately for a cure. Thank you so much and have a lovely evening.
Thank you, Susan, and thank you to Midwest Radiology. We are so grateful for your continued partnership and support. Okay, let's take a moment to acknowledge all our amazing event sponsors. We're grateful for the leadership of our gold sponsors, Birchwood Laboratories and YAMF, and Minneapolis Radiology and Summit Private Wealth Group. Thank you.
Yeah, I love the fist, yeah.
Yeah, woo! Thank you to our silver sponsors, Summit Orthopedics and UCare. Yes. We would also like to acknowledge our bronze sponsors listed on the screen. Please give a round of applause for all of tonight's amazing event sponsors. And we have one more very special moment of gratitude to share. Organizations like ours, MCCRF, are stronger when we work together, and that is the case when it comes to our partnership with the Colon Cancer Coalition. While MCCRF is focusing on the research to find better treatments and a cure, CCC, this is also a very important thing, raising awareness and educating people about colorectal screenings. Together, we are on a mission to change the stigma and improve outcomes of colorectal cancer cases. And put this on your calendar when you get a moment. August 20th, Sunday, is your Get Your Rear Gear event. Get your gear, is it get your rear
Get your
in
rear
gear? In gear.
Yeah, that's good.
Maybe I should learn how to say it. Get your rear in gear event.
That's good.
Which is a walk and run, which is really fun. And everybody knows it.
Yeah.
It's so fun. They have that big rear end, too, in it, right? Which I think is great. Hey,
Just come for the
we
rear
got,
end.
We got to talk
yeah.
about that stuff,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It's fun.
Please help me in thanking the Colon Cancer Coalition and their president, Chris Evans. Chris, please stand. Thank you. Now we invite you to turn your attention to a compelling video that outlines the critical work of the Minnesota Colorectal Cancer Research Foundation. Oh, it's October. Okay, so it's not August.
October 20th.
Okay.
You come in August to practice.
Okay.
And then come back in October. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, good. October 20th. Everyone update your calendar.
Get your rear in gear in October 20th. Thank you. I apologize for that. Okay, let's talk about the Minnesota Colorectal Cancer Research Foundation, the critical work and how they continue to build a community of survivors, families, and friends, all united in the pursuit of fundraising for research.
I was diagnosed with colon cancer, stage 3C colon cancer, on my baseline screening colonoscopy in 2011. I was surprised to learn that colorectal cancer is the second leading cause of cancer death, but it doesn't get nearly the funding that lung cancer research does or breast cancer research does. So in 2014, when I was in the middle of being stage 4 and all of those surgeries and chemotherapy, I realized I wanted to start raising funds for colorectal cancer research. And it occurred to me at that point that there's this old saying, if not me, who? If not now, when? And I thought, if someone who has stage 4 colon cancer isn't going to fight for this disease and fight to make sure that money is going to research, who in the world would? Like, if I wasn't willing to do it, who else would?
As a cancer researcher, I think what people don't understand is most of the funding does not come from the university. We have to actually go out and actively raise the funds.
In 2017, we formed the Minnesota Colorectal Cancer Research Foundation as a 501c3 nonprofit.
And I was there right when it started, and we've been working with her and her group since day one to raise funds for colon cancer research and to help fund the next generation of scientists here in the University of Minnesota and the Mayo Clinic, basically any researcher in Minnesota.
As a volunteer, going out and talking to people and asking for donations and asking for support, there hasn't been a single person that I've spoken to who didn't say, I know someone. It's someone in my family. It's someone in my friend group who also has had colon cancer. So how can we get ahead of this? And that's what MCCRF is all about.
We're providing funding for smaller projects that, once they are demonstrated to be viable and lead to possible better treatments or better ways to prevent colon and rectal cancer, then can take that data to these larger organizations and get the funding they need to actually go to clinical trial. The first couple of years we did it, we funded 1 or 2 grants. This year we're funding 5 grants.
So 2023 was the first year where MCCRF specifically had a grant for improving the quality of life for people affected by colorectal cancer. So specifically focusing on symptom control, improving symptoms such as pain, neuropathy, numbness and tingling in your fingers, but also survivorship. How do we make sure that patients are living their fullest lives? How are we best addressing caregiver burdens, for example? And I was fortunate to get that grant in 2023.
So we're getting grants about immune-related therapies, grants about typical chemotherapies, grants about making it better for patients' lives. We form a committee of other cancer researchers, and we look at the ones that we think, these are really good. The person who's doing them looks like they're going to go on an upward trajectory and be colon cancer researchers and maybe run their own labs in the future.
The support of the Minnesota Colorectal Research Foundation has been instrumental for our group, as well as the development of 2 young investigators that came into the field of colorectal cancer research. Our program aims at developing new treatment approaches for colorectal cancer by better understanding how the tumor works and what are the key molecules that are important for the driving of the disease.
Yes, I received a grant from the Minnesota Colorectal Cancer Research Foundation to expand my studies in drugs with anti-tumor activity. We found that colorectal cancer patients overexpress a specific protein. So the idea of this is develop a specific drug that targets this protein. So in this way, we will be able just to target specifically the tumors and not the healthy tissue.
So the process has worked. And the grants we have been funding are now coming to fruition. And there are a lot of great new ideas out there. And we just are trying to raise the money to bring as many of them forward as possible. Because we know it's not going to be just one thing that will be a cure for this disease. It's going to be coming at it from a lot of different angles and trying a lot of different things to come up with the best treatments we can get. I'm incredibly fortunate because I'm one of the rare people who I've had no evidence of disease since 2015, but I'm a rarity. That doesn't happen very often, and I want that for more people.
Big round of applause for Sandy. Her vision, her energy made all this happen. She's so incredible. Your foresight, your dedication, Sandy, and for bringing us all here together. We're so thankful. Where are you, Sandy? Wait, over here. Oh, goodness. Well, I tell you what, thank you. Thank you so much, Sandy, for everything that you have done for this organization. It means so much. In the fight against colorectal cancer. We so appreciate you. All right, as I mentioned earlier, there is an alarming trend of colorectal cancer affecting younger individuals, and tragically, these cases are frequently discovered at more advanced stages. We want to understand this a little bit more to just get a feel for what's going on right now. What are we doing to address all of this? Please join me in welcoming a leading expert in the field, University of Minnesota gastroenterologist, Dr. Shahnaz Sultan, to the stage. Just need a fireplace, little fireside chat here. Dr. Sultan, thank you so much. This is so important to do. When you think about the patients that you see and the kind of stages they come to you in, when you look at the amount of patients you see with colorectal cancer, would you classify this as a public health issue, a public health emergency?
Well, as you mentioned, Vanita, colorectal cancer is one of the leading causes of cancer-related death in the world, and we are seeing an alarming trend in the number of younger individuals presenting with colorectal cancer. The good news is that we've had so much success with population-based screening and advances in colon cancer treatment that we're actually seeing an overall decrease in the number of colorectal cancers that were being diagnosed in older individuals, and a decrease in the number of people dying from colorectal cancer. But we are really alarmed about the number of cancers we're seeing in younger individuals, especially in individuals under the age of 55.
Well, those are the stats. That's what the new news was that was coming out just in the last few weeks. What can be done about it?
There's a lot we don't know. Why is it that these individuals are developing colon cancer? Historically, we know that there are some genetic changes that can lead to cancer predisposing syndromes in younger individuals. But these early onset colorectal cancers are not necessarily related to these changes. We think that there's dietary factors, there's environmental factors, and other genetic changes that we don't fully know and we need to better understand.
Okay. Well, I look around this room, and this is a motivated group. They're here for a lovely meal and dancing and all of that, but they're here to help raise money. What can this group do to help this situation?
I think the first thing is that we all need to get screened, right? So the guidelines now say start getting screened age 45 to 50. That's the most important thing that we can do. Yes, let's clap to that. I think the other thing is we need to have an awareness and an understanding and education about the symptoms that colorectal cancer can present with. So one of the alarm symptoms, or one of the symptoms that you should be most worried about, is rectal bleeding or blood in your stool. That could be a symptom that is indicative of colorectal cancer. And in younger people, we tend to think about other factors that could be contributing to these symptoms. We don't think that this could be related to colon cancer. So understanding and having an awareness of some of the alarm features that younger individuals can present with. So I mentioned rectal bleeding or blood in your stool, unexplained iron deficiency anemia, a change in your blood, a change in your bowel habits, unintentional weight loss. These are all symptoms that should alarm you to seek care. And you should be getting care from your primary care provider and getting a colonoscopy or other testing to evaluate for colon cancer. And I think providers also need to have a lower threshold to refer patients for screening and colonoscopy as well.
You talk about colonoscopies. I know it's not the funnest thing to do. It's not even that big of a deal, though. You know, you just drink that liquid and you're done with it. Lose a little weight in the process. It's kind of nice, I'll be honest. But really, I think about a colonoscopy, and then there's also those at-home tests, which some people opt for. And I'm just curious, just from your perspective as a physician, do you find that those at-home tests are as effective? What do you recommend to your patients as being the best thing to do?
The best test is the one that gets done. And that's a mantra that we have in the colon cancer field, because it's really important to get screened. And how you get screened is really very much dependent on an individual's values and preferences. The good news with colon cancer screening is that we have lots of options. You can get a colonoscopy, that's a one and done. You can detect and resect polyps, which are precursor lesions. But there's really a lot of other screening strategies that you can pursue. So at-home testing, either with a fecal immunochemical test or with a stool DNA test, are really good options for screening. Now, the important thing to remember is that if that is a positive test, so if you do that stool test and it's positive, it's really important you get a follow-up colonoscopy. And so as a strategy, there's a lot of evidence to support this as a way to reduce colon cancer incidence and mortality.
Okay. So as we move forward, why is it so hard for people to talk about this, really? I mean, you know, we all do. It's something that affects all of us as part of our system, right? What can we do to knock down those barriers and just talk about it? Get your rear in gear, right? And have a big, you know, rear end at the run. I mean, let's talk about these things. It's really important. As a physician, what do you think we can do to just break down those barriers?
I think events like this help a lot. And so I think there is a stigma against colon cancer screening. I think for many people, specifically of certain backgrounds, men tend to have a harder time talking about colonoscopies compared to women. I think certain communities, Black individuals, Latinx individuals, there's a stigma associated with anything related to looking inside your colon. And I think we need to break down those barriers. We need to talk about colon cancer screening. We need to also demystify the whole process of how screening occurs. We need to kind of explain how colonoscopy works, how stool testing works. And I think the more conversations we have, the more openly we talk about these topics, the more people will feel educated and empowered. And that's how we can actually, I think, do some good work.
That's so true, yes. Applause for that. Dr. Sultan, thank you so much. It's compassionate physicians like you that make the difference in so many lives. I'm the daughter of a retired oncologist, and I know how much of an impact good physicians can have on people, and it's because of you that you get people through these tough times. So thank you for everything that you do for so many people.
Thank you very much,
Dr. Sultan, thank you.
Thank you.
Tane. Tane's got a great group to talk to, too. Oh.
Good. I love this event. Other than that Shaker Furniture Convention I emceed, stool test doesn't come up nearly as much as anywhere else. Thank you. I'm here all night. This is to me, I love this part of this program because it's really kind of where we get to see the rubber hit the road and what you all made happen here. So it is this part of the program where we announce the 2024 grant recipients. And this year, we have a record 5 grant recipients for MCCRF. And I know I made this point, but I just have to underscore again, because I was here last year, like, raise your hand or applaud if you were here last year, right? Like, last year was pretty special. And this is totally true. When we started last year, about this time last year, we didn't know how generous people were going to be. And it is entirely because of the folks who were here and how you contributed that we got to the point that we could do 5 grants. This is a direct correlation to what people in this room did. So thank you. You did this. This is because of you all that this is possible and this happened. So, here to introduce some of the extraordinary people who are doing extraordinary, amazing work for the Minnesota Colorectal Cancer Research Foundation. She is our president. She is a stage 4 colon cancer survivor. She doesn't need that much of a round of applause, of an introduction, because she is going to get a thunderous round of applause from everybody. Please put it together one more time for Sandy Muschenheim, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Oh, come on, it's a long night. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. And thank you, Tane, for all the nice words. So I want to thank you all for coming tonight. I'm so excited to tell you that since our founding in 2017, we have now funded $1.44 million in research and a total of 20 research grants. Many of you in this room have contributed to that, and I cannot thank you enough because we would not be here without you. I recently heard a quote from a former president, and it resonates with me tonight. Change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the change we have been waiting for. So, I'm not actually going to introduce the grant recipients. I would like to introduce someone who is very important to our grant organization. Between what we are doing tonight, raising money for groundbreaking research, and the actual research. There's an essential step that happens behind the scenes that nobody sees. That's the work of the Grant Committee. This is a group of very talented and knowledgeable people who just volunteer their time. They read all the grant applications, they write reviews of the applications, and they meet and tell our board which applicants they think are the strongest, both the grant and the applicant themselves. I would like to introduce the amazing chair of our grant committee this year, Dr. Tim Starr.
Thanks, Sandy, for that introduction. I feel a little interesting because if some of you probably remember, I was a recipient of this grant about 6 years ago in my lab. And everything's moved full circle now, and now I get to pick the people that are going to be the recipients this year. So our first grant is the Norm and Pat Wells Memorial Grant. Yeah, I met Norm a while ago. Norm lived for 7 years with rectal cancer, and he and his wife, Pat, helped to found the Minnesota Colorectal Cancer Research Foundation. Now, Norm and Pat's son, Chris Wells, is here. Kyle Wells. Kyle Wells is here to congratulate the recipient. Kyle. So please join me in congratulating the recipient of the Norm and Pat Wells Memorial Grant, Mr. Travis Gates. Travis is a PhD candidate in the Subramanian Lab. You saw him up on the camera there, within the University of Minnesota Medical School. And the title of his project is Targeting LAT1 as a Metabolic Intervention in Colorectal Cancer. Now, I know that went over everybody's head, but I'm sure many of you went to his poster and he eloquently explained to you what he was doing. But this is great work. So the second grant is named after one of the founding board members, Chris Wilhoit, and his Peter Wilhoit. I'm getting the names wrong. Sorry, she confused me because I switched around. Peter had stage 4 colon cancer at the age of 51. After 4 years of treatment, he simply ran out of treatment options. And Peter said, we need to support research that would find a game changer in the treatment of colorectal cancer. Peter's father, Chris Wilhoit, is with us to recognize the grant winner. The recipient of the Peter Wilhoit Memorial Grant is a postdoctoral researcher fellow at the Mayo Clinic. Please help me congratulate Dr. Renzo E. Vera. The title of his project, again, is Novel Therapeutics for RAS mutant colorectal cancer. And our third grant is named for an amazing woman and survivor who worked for the Colon Cancer Coalition. Sarah DeBoard dedicated the last years of her life to both colon cancer awareness and doing everything in her power so that people with colon and rectal cancer could live longer and feel better than she had. Sarah's partner and one of the MCCRF board members, Doug Dahlman, is here to recognize the grant recipient. The recipient of the Sarah DeBoard Memorial Grant is Assistant Professor of Medical Oncology at the University of Minnesota, Dr. Arjun Gupta. Dr. Gupta's project is titled CoLabs, long story there, Colorectal Cancer Legal and Administrative Burden Support, a pilot clinical trial. Our fourth grant is the MCCRF Symptom and Survivorship Research Grant. This year's recipient is Assistant Professor of Medical Oncology, also at the University of Minnesota, Dr. A.J. Prakash.
And the title of his project is A Pilot Trial of Probiotic Supplementation During Adjuvant Chemotherapy for Stage 3 Colon Cancer. And it just keeps going. And the final grant is the MCCRF Scientific Research Grant. This year's grant goes to PhD candidate at the University of Minnesota, Mr. Matthew Dietz. The title of his project is Improving Immune Checkpoint Inhibitor Therapy by Inhibiting Microbial Communication. And I'll give it back to
With that, can we do another big round of applause for both Dr. Starr and our 5 amazing grant winners? All right. Our grant winners are going to come and join me over here, and we're going to chat a little bit. We're going to try and dig in just a few minutes to a little bit what they do. We are making you, in exchange for your grants, move your own furniture. So thank you very much. Okay, this is great. I love this part of this program because what we're talking about is hard. And there's a lot of people I know in the room who have folks that are in their family or are close to them that are directly affected by this disease. And so it is so inspiring and amazing to have 5 people on this stage who are doing work to help us find ways to treat and hopefully find a different way to address this disease. So I'm going to try and go through each of these, and you all are going to help me get through some of the science and the legal stuff that we're talking about. Travis, we're going to start with you. You've been up here before. Very cool. And we showed a photo of this, but Vanita and I got to tour the lab where you're doing your work. But you're working on microbiomes, which I feel like I buy kombucha that tells me about my microbiome, but what you're doing is much more, is something more or different. Like, tell me the work that you are doing.
Yeah, so the work that we're doing in Dr. Subramanian's lab is really focused on a general overview of the tumor microenvironment, because within colorectal cancer, it's really not just the cancer cells that exist there. It's a combination of the cancer cells plus a microbiome, or the bacteria that populate the gut, as well as the immune system that's constantly battling with tackling these cells that have mutations, which are the colorectal cancer cells in the colon. So my work is really focused on, from the work that was funded in 2022, we've worked at developing a target and have kind of identified a protein that's really interesting, which is LAT1, which stands for large amino transporter, large amino acid transporter, and it's upregulated and expressed in colorectal cancer tissues compared to matched normal adjacent tissues. And what's kind of interesting about this mechanism and why we're really kind of keen on pursuing it is that the immune cells also need those amino acids in order to function within that environment to kind of eliminate the cancer cells. But as the cancer cells upregulate this transporter, they kind of take away all of those amino acids that are present, and they prevent the immune cells from functioning properly, while also allowing those tumor cells to the building blocks that they need to divide and proliferate. So that's the work that we're pursuing.
I think, so this was honestly something that I hadn't really thought about. It makes sense. I will just warn you, it's sort of terrifying on one level to think about, but one of the things we talked about when we were in the lab is there is cancer in a lot of us. And yet, like, our immune systems fight it off. Our internal mechanisms are fighting it off. And a lot of times when cancer becomes a problem, it's in part because our immune system is no longer able to fight it off or keep up. And that, in a layman's way, is kind of how I understand what you're working on. Like, can we help the immune system function better so that it is fighting the cancer longer, better, stronger?
Exactly. No, you're definitely right. So essentially, the cancer cells can develop mechanisms to make that microenvironment immunosuppressed. So the immune system can perform its native function as the tumors progress and become more aggressive. So that's what we're looking at, ways to kind of mitigate and make the tumor cells more visible to the cancer cells by targeting the microbiome.
That is amazing. I love this. Yeah, round of applause. I mean, yeah, that's very cool work. So, all right. Okay, Dr. Vieira, I'm moving down. So you're at Mayo Clinic, and your research is about blocking certain molecules to stop the RAS mutation. So, first of all, can you talk about like what an RAS mutation is and why do we want to stop it, and potentially how do we even do that?
Yes, of course. We know that around 40% of the colorectal cancer patients have a specific mutation, and this mutation is called KRAS. And in general, patients with this mutation sadly have tumor cells that are able just to grow faster, are able just to resist treatments, and also these cells are able to spread to different parts of the body. So for this reason, we want just to provide a better tools for the patients with these mutations, because the classical chemo sometimes is not working. For that reason, we developed a specific drug that is targeting this particular mutation, the mutation KRAS. And also, we got amazing results in the lab. So the next step for us is try this drug in vivo models, because we want just to get the clinical trial that is necessary for the patients, for future patients.
And yeah, please, yeah, that's. And so, I mean, this is just sort of maybe you can paint a picture for us. You were talking about next steps, like how does this progress? You talked about maybe an immediate next step, but then like, let's say it's promising and it's good. Like, where does it keep going from there? What does this look like for folks who haven't been part of a process like this before?
So if the results are perfect, so we can think probably in 4 or 5 years, we can start to think in clinical trials. So that is our idea, and every day in the lab, we are trying to work harder just to get the better results for the future of the patients. So I think for me, and I think for us, for every researcher, every patient is an inspiration for us, because push us just to work harder, just to provide better treatment for everyone.
I love that. That's great. Okay, Dr. Gupta, you've been up here before too, and this is actually a very cool piece for me about the work MCCRF does, because we think a lot about grants for funding research in a laboratory, and yet we know, I would say every person in this room knows, cancer eats up every part of your life, and it makes it incredibly hard just to do day-to-day things. And so you are coming at this disease and what it is doing to people and families like in a different way. So can you talk a little bit about your work and this year's grant?
Sure. So we know that people with cancer, and especially people with colorectal cancer, face lots of physical symptoms. There's pain, there's nausea, there's loss of weight, but there's also issues with practical day-to-day lives. People receive a $10,000 bill from the insurance company that they don't understand. People are fired from their jobs. People lose their houses. People don't know how to do estate planning and leave wills for their loved ones. And all of this anxiety, all of this distress can snowball and really impact the quality of life for people living with colorectal cancer. Our well-intentioned oncology clinical care teams try to be proactive and screen and detect these problems early. But usually in clinical practice, by the time we're getting to know, things are already too late. People are in crisis. You'd be shocked to know that 3 in 4 Americans with stage 4 colorectal cancer experience a catastrophic financial outcome, such as losing their own home. Think about it, 3 in 4 Americans. The reasons you don't hear about it is because people are ashamed to talk about it. And so the need of the hour is to identify and proactively act on these risk factors even before they've caused an issue. And the way to do that, we think, is through proactive screening and connection with a legal care team. Cancer Legal Care is a nonprofit that started in Minnesota around 15 years ago. Their director and founder, Lindy, is actually with us today. There's Lindy right there. So they provide free legal care services for anyone with cancer. You have an initial checkup where they go over insurance benefits and other things that you may be facing and proactively seek to address them. And so we're doing a clinical trial using MCCRF funds to see how proactive connection with the cancer legal care team affects patients' quality of life.
So the piece I want to ask you about, because I feel like everybody knows, like, we don't want people who are facing cancer to have to spend time, worrying about financial catastrophic loss or fighting legal battles. And it seems like such an obvious thing. So the question, what is a clinical trial? Why do we even need that? Isn't it just sort of like everybody knows, like, yeah, we need this?
I 100% agree. I think we know it. The trouble is we need to convince payers, insurance companies, and policymakers to cover all of this. So we need to prove in a clinical trial. We need to collect this data prospectively in Minnesota to show how someone in Bemidji or in St. Cloud or anyone, our friends and family members, can benefit from this service so that cancer legal care and its services can grow beyond just the patients that they can currently help.
Right. Thank you so much. That's amazing work. Dr. Prakash, I made sort of a joke earlier about kombucha, but you're doing real, like, substantive, serious research on probiotics, and because they are part of this whole system, and you're finding very interesting, compelling things about how this might be a piece of this puzzle.
As my colleagues have already eloquently demonstrated, cancer is a complicated process which comes at from multiple facets. As Dr. Gupta just mentioned, the patients who are being treated for cancer tolerate enormous challenges, things like nausea, vomiting, constipation, GI distress. These things can be totally debilitating. And what we've found in preliminary trials done by groups across the world is that there are things that we can utilize to address this. So as researcher Gates had mentioned, the microbiome is critical in maintaining gut health. And what it can do is protect against some of these side effects. It is wiped away in the process of chemotherapeutic delivery, and we believe that by providing some supplementation that we can help to restore some of that underlying function. One of the other advantages of considering something like a probiotic supplement versus something that could be a little bit more specific or invasive is that you can go out and get it now. So if we are able to demonstrate that this has efficacy and helps to relieve symptoms and helps to address some of the many other sort of clinical and scientific endpoints that we're looking at, this is a treatment that should be available to everyone. You can get it at your corner store, your pharmacy, and you're not going to be gated by having to see folks like me or Dr. Gupta, as excellent as we are.
It's good. And again, just to kind of put a line, we're talking about treatments to prolong life. We're talking about making financial and legal pieces, and you're talking about just quality of life for folks who are dealing with this. And again, I imagine there's a lot of people here thinking about folks that they've known who've gone through this, and how much of a difference that could make of them feeling better, being able to get up and do what they need to do in a day, and the solution might be right there.
The mind-body connection is a real thing, and if you feel better, you do better. Doctors know that, patients know that, and we're hopeful that this trial is able to demonstrate that with something simple that we can give everybody.
I love that. Okay, thank you. Okay, Matthew Dietz, congratulations. Very happy to have you here. So immunotherapy we hear about for treating cancers, but we feel like we've heard like it doesn't work as well with colorectal cancers, but your research is trying to help with this immuno response. Is that correct? Do I have this generally right?
Yeah, that's generally right. As Travis was saying before, cancerous cells are actually quite common in human bodies. It's just our immune system usually can fight them off. But even when a tumor develops an immunosuppressive environment so that our immune system can't fight them off, the amount of immunosuppressive power that these tumors have isn't exactly equal among all different types of colorectal cancer. And certain immunotherapies, such as immune checkpoint inhibitor therapy, the one that I'm studying, can take out a certain number of cancers, but they only have so many they can affect. So immune checkpoint inhibitor therapy can only affect about 10% of colorectal cancers that are currently out there, or that they're the average. And the ones that it can affect it's very, very strong. It's great, melts tumors, but it just can't affect other ones. However, we found that bacteria and other organisms inside that tumor microenvironment are helping the tumor to fight off the rest of the immune system. So I study bacteria and bacterial communication. So we're looking at if we can lower bacterial communication and get the bacteria to stop working together to help fight the immune system, maybe we can lower that threshold enough so that these other immunotherapies might be able to affect many more types of cancer.
Right? Like, yeah, that sounds very cool and exciting. Like going from 10% to 20% to 30%, like that's the goal. I'm going to ask you this question, but I'd be curious from like any of our researchers. We're raising money tonight to give you all grants, and again, if somebody hasn't been part of like a research process before, they haven't worked in a laboratory where they're applying for grants, I can imagine somebody thinking like, well, I mean, doesn't the government like fund a lot of this, or aren't there like big national organizations that are just like writing checks? I mean, you're doing good work. Doesn't it just happen? Doesn't it just get funded? Like, what does this really matter?
That's a really good question, and scientists often have to try to ask ourselves that question as well. But the federal government and other funding organizations, they only have so much money that they can use to fund things, so they're often focused on what research has really good evidence that it's probably going to move the needle, maybe not very much, but they're not that interested in new novel therapies, and especially not from like new researchers. And so last year, for example, I actually got a grant from the MCCRF on a project that I was rejected previously because there was not a lot of preliminary evidence on using this bacterial communication to help reduce metastasis in colorectal cancer. I'm happy to report that we have really promising results on using these quorum-quenching enzymes to reduce metastasis in colorectal cancer. Thank you. And that funding that I received last year is now, I have preliminary data now. I can now show these federal funding organizations that, yes, this does work, and can you please give me more money to look at this? And so now they're building into actual large, like R01 type grants that couldn't have been done without the donations from you guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, I'll add to that as well, Matt. That was a good explanation. But so there's kind of a constant dynamic between researchers of developing grant proposals to submit for other funding agencies. And it's really competitive. Just to kind of put it in perspective, the NCI, or the National Cancer Institute, kind of funds grants at the 9th percentile. So they're sifting through thousands and thousands of applications. So it's a really competitive process. But as Matt kind of mentioned, it's a great opportunity with the MCCRF to develop compelling preliminary data that can be actionable, that you can put into your grant proposal, which can actually give a lot more rationale to your scientific proposal, as well as convince the people who are going to be reviewing it. And that does a couple of things. Like, it's been extremely helpful within the Subramanian lab because we've been able to apply for federal resourcing and federal funding, and have been successful with that after receiving proposals from the MCCRF. So it's a really good way and tangible way to develop evidence.
I love that. Again. So think about what you are doing tonight as you all are basically funding the keys that unlock doors for them to keep this work going, to take things to that next level. And I don't know about you all, but like every single one of these projects, these pieces of research are something that I want to see keep going. I want to see go to a next level and a next level after that, and eventually be something that everyone in the country has access to. And we're going to get started with that tonight. So for right now, can you all do a big round of applause for these 5 amazing researchers? Thank you. Okay.
It's so incredible what these researchers are able to do. Doesn't it give you hope? It really does. It gets you excited and energized that we can do this. With some money, we can make this happen. Now, we are sharing a story of resilience. Bridget, who was diagnosed with metastatic colon cancer at 34 years old, reminds us of the preciousness of every day. Her journey, marked by strength and a commitment to living in the moment, inspires us all. Her life's moments, both tender and tough, are the very reasons that we are here tonight.
It was 2019. I was 34 years old at the time. My husband and I and our 2 small children had just moved to Minnesota, and I started to have some pain on my lower left side that I was pretty much ignoring.
We were at the state fair for the first time and just stopped. She had to sit down. She's like, I can't keep going. So I was like, something's not right. This is not normal for someone of this age to feel this way.
And I did a colonoscopy on September 6th, and the doctor said, we found a mass in your colon. He told me it was stage 4 metastatic cancer. I was blown away. I couldn't believe that not only did I have cancer, but I had stage 4 cancer, that it had gotten into my bloodstream and affected other organs.
Since the day I've met her, I knew that she was a go-getter. She'd never let anything knock her down. If it did knock her down, she's gonna get right back up. That's just who she is.
Cancer it affects your whole life. It's not just compartmentalized or something you can box out. It is with you all the time, and there are the physical aspects of it, and the medical aspects of it. There's the mental part of it that is a huge aspect. And then how much it impacts not just the person, but everybody around them. I mean, I know that it's beyond just me, and that is not unique to my situation. It's anyone going through cancer, that it is such a ripple effect in your life, and how much it can affect everything.
I knew she needed as much support as possible to fight this battle. I needed to take care of the kids. I needed to do everything around the house. Just kind of make sure she didn't have to worry about that stuff, so she could put all her energy and effort into fighting this battle with cancer.
One of the things that I am most proud of is my resilience and my ability to keep that fight going, to get up every time it knocks you down and keep going. And I think that mental piece is incredibly important, but that isn't to say that I'm happy all the time or that that's an easy state of mind to be in. When I first got diagnosed, I was terrified, and I didn't know what the future held. And I remember many conversations with my husband saying, I don't know if I'm gonna see my kids graduate. I don't know if I'm gonna see them graduate. I don't know if I'll see them get married. And I still worry about that to this day. And then the mental state of finding out you have a recurrence. There's something called scanxiety, as they call it, but every time I go in to get an MRI or a CT, there is that possibility that they're gonna find something else. They're gonna find another tumor, and who knows, maybe this one won't be treatable. And that is terrifying, not just for me, my husband too, everybody. I've been through 6 different chemo and treatment regimens so far, and we've done the first line, and we've done the second line, and we've done the third line, and we're getting close to the end of the line of what's out there on the market today, and that is a scary thought, knowing that there may not be something else. There needs to be funding to bring new treatment options to the market, to make these available to patients, specifically in the colon cancer space. There aren't that many options out there.
Receiving Bridget's diagnosis at such a young age, it made me want to fully invest in every moment we had together.
I love it. It's my favorite present I got all day.
I want to have experiences with our children.
Yeah, all right. Nice job.
It could just be a walk in the park or something, but I want to cherish every moment that I have with my family. That's really what this disease has taught me.
Now that I'm coming up on that 5 years, I feel very confident we will make it past that 5 years, and I am excited to break that barrier. And even beyond that, one of my goals is to be a symbol or a beacon of hope for other stage 4 patients, that you can have a very long and fulfilling life, even with a stage 4 diagnosis.
Wow. Bridget and Greg are here. Can you stand? We just want to give you a round of applause. Thank you so much for sharing your story. So powerful. Thank you. So much inspiration. We're getting close to the moment in the evening where we all come together. Are you inspired? Are you motivated? We want to make a difference for families like the Catinos and so many others in this room. And I would like to introduce the person who's going to help us do this. And he was really successful last year. We'll see. He's going to even be more successful this year. Please help me welcome back for his 4th time at the MCCRF Gala, the always passionate auctioneer from Flatibow Advancement, Rusty Kath.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Vanita. Bridget, you are that beacon of hope already. Thank you so much for telling us your story and sharing that with it. It was incredible. I'll be brief because we've heard plenty tonight. You know why we are here. For me personally, I have a brother who was, I lost one brother to cancer about a decade ago, coming up on 10 years in March. Another brother who had throat cancer, stage 4, survived. And years later, we learned that he had colorectal cancer. He was able to get early screening, and so he has survived, but still a lot of complications for him on a day-to-day basis. I am proud to say that on November 16th of this last year, I got my first colonoscopy. Thank you. Yeah, because now I need early screening as well. The reason, Tane, you and I have been doing this together for a little while now, and to be able to see 5 recipients on the stage, and you think about the increase in percentage of how things are changing and what kind of research and hope that we have, where it's doctors, researchers who are not just, it's holistic, it's every part of the being. Sandy had said it earlier that it's about right here and right now. Before we get to our Fund to Cure, I want to hear from a few more people, hear their stories, individuals who have been affected by colorectal cancer. Each one of them has a story many of us are familiar with in our own lives too. But it always, when we hear it, underlies the urgency of this moment. So from survivors to supporters, they all stand united, and like us, they're ready to act.
1 in 24 Americans is diagnosed with colorectal cancer in their lifetime.
1 in 24.
The incidence and mortality rates for colorectal cancer among younger people, people less than 50 years, is rapidly rising.
If not me, who?
If not now, when?
All of us here share a common thread.
My sister and my grandfather died of colon cancer.
My wife was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer.
I treat people with colon and rectal cancer.
My grandmother died of colorectal cancer, and this motivates me to do my research.
I am living and thriving with metastatic colorectal cancer.
I'm researching to find better treatment for colorectal cancer.
So the people who've had it, the family members of those people, the friends of those people, we need to be the ones to make a difference for this disease.
If not me, who?
If not now, when?
Let's not let this moment pass.
Now is our moment to ignite hope and forge a path forward.
If not me, who?
If not now, when?
I want to turn everybody who's touched by this disease into an advocate. I want us all to care about it, and I want us all to do something about it.
Let's not let this moment pass.
Because if not now, when?
If not now, when?
If not now, when?
If not now, when?
Let's answer that. Let's get rid of that question. The answer is now. I'm moving down here, okay? Can you guys help me spot from up there? The answer is right now, okay? And the reason that we've been able to make such advancements is because of nights like this in the past. This is our moment we call a fund to cure. Pretty simple. Earlier on, I asked you to grab those bid paddles. Get them ready right now. I'm going to just be asking for donations. I'm going to give a dollar amount. If you're able to make a contribution at that amount, please just raise that paddle high in the air to get that called out and tally as we continue to try and get more and more of these grants. Even if you're not raising a paddle at that moment, cheer the people on because they're making gigantic differences. We're starting aggressive. We're trying to break a record tonight in terms of dollars raised as well as participation. If you're watching online, you can just click the Make a Donation via the online bidding page. For us in the room, once I get a dollar amount that's a comfortable fit for you, that's a good fit for you to make a difference tonight, raise that paddle to the sky. We're going to start aggressive. Can anybody make a contribution at the $10,000 level? Anybody at a 10? I got it right up front here. Yes! But number 450. 450. We just got $10,000. $10,000. Right to get things going. Anybody else? Last call. Yes or no? Anybody else at our $10,000 level? We are rocking and rolling. This is great. Huge round of applause. $10,000 donation. It's an aggressive start. We know. Maybe you're able to reach it tonight and make a difference at the $5,000 level. Can anybody else? I got one in the back. Bidder number 357. God bless you, Sandy. 357. Bidder 218. 218 at 5,000. Bidder 128. 128. Bidder 275. 275. Bidder 451. 451. Bidder 264. 264. This is amazing. Bidder 185 at $5,000. 185. 194. 194. 337. 337. 312. 312. I already got you. 337, 219, 219. Last call. Anybody else at 5,000? Holy cow, that is amazing. Huge round of applause to all of the families. They're good people, Dan. They're very, very good people. Next up. Maybe 5,000 is a bit much for you. Maybe you didn't get that silent auction item you were hoping for. So anybody step up here at our $2,500 level tonight? Anybody at $2,500? I got somebody at $2,500 right back here. Bidder 411, 411. Bidder 449, 449 at $2,500. I got more over here. Bidder 156, 156. Bidder 160, 160 at $2,500. Did I get you 449? I got you 449. Huge round of applause for all of those folks. We're going to move on to our next level. Before we get there, we have a special match. Maybe the $1,000 level is a good fit for you, or you're right on the border like, I don't know if I can do it or not. We've got an exciting match happening tonight. Earlier, we were talking about getting the rear gear. We're getting the rear gear. They take the rear gear. We're all getting the rear end gear, like I did on November 16th. We have got a match right now at our $1,000 level for $50,000. This is coming from the Colon Cancer Coalition. Another big round of applause CCC, thank you so much. So we have an opportunity right now, if we can, it's a big ask, okay? But if we could get 50 donations at this, we can come together right now and make $100,000, and I got people ready to go already. All right, anybody at the $1,000 level who can make it $2,000 with the match, here we go! Bidder 135, 135, 133, 133, 460, 460, 244, 244, bidder 104, 104, bidder 241, 241, 267, 267, 265, 265, bidder 129, 129, 424, that's 424, bidder 425, 425, 417, 417, bidder 412, 412, bidder 407, 407, 406, that's 406, and 403, that's 403. Thank you, so good to get 294, 294, bidder 299, 299, bidder 384, 384. There's a lot more people over here. 377, 377, bidder 379, 379 at $1,000. 383, 383, bidder 375, 375, 304, 304. Auctioneer is getting very tired, very tired. 314, 314. 313, 313, this is amazing. 315, 315, I got you. 313, 317, 317, bidder 207, 207, bidder 369, 369er, 356, 356, bidder 353, 353, 352, 352, bidder 358, 358. Thank you, bidder 324, 324, 193, 193, bidder 157, 157, 146, 146, bidder 156, 156, bidder 159, 159, 194, 194, 184, 184, bidder 139, 139. Wow. 45. Just give me a minute.
Deep breaths.
While
deep
Rusty's
breaths.
catching his breath, so the people who just donated right now, how do you feel? You are making really good things happen, and for people that we know. So thank you, and let them be an inspiration to everybody else in this room, because we are going to raise so much money tonight to do so much good work. We're not done yet, right?
Keep it going.
We're not. I just got it tallied. We're currently at 45 donors, which is unbelievable.
Wow.
But if, yes! I'm sorry, I'm wrong. We're at 46 donors, 47, 48, 49, bidder 300, 300, bidder 398, 398, bidder 276, 276, bidder 279, 279, bidder 181, 181, bidder 161, 161, 383, 383. We just helped come together to make over 100,000.
Yes! Woohoo! Man, fantastic! Oh my!
That doesn't happen. One more round of applause for the CCC as well for coming up, matching that. It's okay. This is good. This is exhausting. This is if you get to extra water up there, you just let me know. All right, let's keep on moving on. We are doing an amazing job right now. I get it. Maybe it's you're a younger professional just getting going. This would be a level that maybe I'd be looking at this $500 level. Anybody able to make a contribution at our $500? Here we go. Yes. Bidder 293, 293, 395, 395, 447, 447, 292, 292, 397, 397, 402, 402, 408, 408, 413, 413. My God, this is incredible. 227, 227, 273, 273, 272, 272, 270, 270, 422, 422, 242, 242. The palindromic 101, 101, 102 at 500, 102, 110. That's 110. 274, 274, 109, 109, 113, 113, bidder 114, 114, bidder 115, 115, bidder 116, 116, and bidder 117, 117. Arjun, thank you. Bidder 230, 230, helping his own cause. Bidder 409, 409, bidder 136, 136, 132, 132, 134, 134. There's a whole other side of the room. This is great. Bidder 378, 378, 210, 210, 151, 151, bidder 147, 147, 192, 192, 195, 195, bidder 198, 198, bidder 321, 321. I got you 198. I already got you 198. 367, 367, 366, 366, 355, 355. Huge round of applause to everybody stepped up at the 500.
Wow. We are off and running. Rusty.
This is good.
This is amazing. And I know probably cameras on you. Remember, if you are online at home right now, you can bid as well. And then just clap for yourself and raise a bid paddle if you want to. Online guests, just click that make a donation on the online bidding page. This is absolutely incredible. We have 2 levels left, and maybe these are the right fits for you. My next level is at 250. Can anybody step up to make that remember, every single dollar counts. Yes, it does. 250. Here we go. Bidder 217, 217, 142, 142. Bidder 212, 212, 144, 144, 152, 152, 154, 154, 201, 201, 206, 206, 329, 329, 339, 339. Bidder 204, 204, and bidder 202, 202. 380, 380, bidder 302, 302, 291, 291, 296, bidder 296 and 297, 297, bidder 399, 399, 405, 405, bidder 413, 413, 278, 278, 419, 419. Our recorders have terrible writer's cramp right now. Bidder 420, 420, bidder 428, 428, and bidder 426, 426, 269, 269er, 266, 266, 225, 225, 226, that's 226. Bidder 120, 120, bidder 122, 122, and bidder 123, 123. I got another back here. 427 at $250, 427. Anybody else? Last call. Yes or no? Give me a break and give all of them a huge round of applause as well.
Woohoo!
This is
Rusty, you doing the math still?
I lost track at 10,000.
Were we supposed to be doing the math?
Somebody.
It's a lot of money.
I got to take my shoes and socks off to count this high. That's a lot of finger and toe counting there. Hey, one more level. And maybe you're thinking to yourself, hey, I'm just getting into my profession, or maybe I have this last bit to donate. Every single dollar counts. And we're not just looking to try and break a record in dollar amount, but it's participation as well. So we're looking finally at our $100 level.
And people could donate again if they were so motivated, right? Like, why not put another $100 on the table?
Yeah.
Tane gets it. Why doesn't everybody else? Thank you, Tane. Last call at $100. Anybody with a $100 card?
I want to see like every card in the air.
Bidder 140, 140, 213, 213. Bidder 153, 153, 164, 164, 166, 166, 157, 157. Bidder 165, that's 165. Bidder 187, 187. Bidder 338, 338. Bidder 332, 332. 359, 359. Or bidder 434, 434. 430, 430. Bidder 294, 294. 295, 295. 283, 283, 284, 284, 288, 288, 290, 290, 414, 414, 419, 419, bidder 280, highway 280, bidder 228, 228, and bidder 224, 224, bidder 245, 245, and 246, 246, bidders 103, 106, 108, all at $100. Anybody else? Right over here. Bidder 131, 131. Bidder
we got another one. Come on.
137, 207.
And another one in the back.
Bidder 400.
Come on, who's got $100?
Last call. Anybody else at $100? Why not? Bidder 292, 292. Last call. Yes or no?
Right there in front of you. Come on. I love that.
299, 299er. Last call. Yes or no? This was unbleeping believable. Put your hands together for every single person.
You are amazing.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wow, you were inspired. You can just tell. All that money coming in, Tane.
I am so.
It's incredible.
You all, every year, like this event, just makes me so happy to be part of this community because you all step up in such a big way to do this work. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And now we want to give a special thank you to our virtual audience. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Did you feel the energy in the room? Thank you for everything that you've contributed to find a cure and end this. Distance is no barrier when it comes to making a difference. Tonight, we are united in the fight against colorectal cancer. Thank you so much for being with us. Applause for all of you.
Love it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.